Hello, everyone, and welcome to It's All About Choices, Nutrition, and Weight Loss. Lunch and Learn, where I am your host, Sandra Goltry, registered dietitian, licensed nutritionist. And today I am featuring an up close and personal segment. And this is your opportunity to hear from real people as they share their personal journey and powerful testimony. And please join me in welcoming our very special guest, Ellie Mattern. How are you feeling today, Ellie?
Feeling good. I'm a little nervous, but I'm feeling generally good and I'm excited to talk to other people about everything that I've learned.
Awesome. I thank you so much for taking time out of your schedule to share your personal journey and testimony. And I know that it will uplift many, many people. So thank you so much. I appreciate it. And today it is all about how Ellie finally gained control over her sugar addiction, compulsive eating, and to keep the weight off despite years of trying to lose weight on her own with various diets, diet pills, trainers, and reading a gazillion books, I like to say. And she is not alone. We all are in this situation. We all have been in this situation. And so that is why I love doing these segments because we always think that we are the only one. And just to give a little background on Ellie, she has always been self conscious about her weight and found herself wrestling day to day about making good food choices. And this alone would take mental energy away from doing the things that she really wanted to do, really wanted to accomplish in life. And she wanted to have healthier coping mechanisms for stress and to only think about food really when we're hungry. And so sleep deprivation led to the uncontrollable cravings for sugar, and one of her biggest challenge was the constant disappointment of losing weight, then gaining it back. And then she felt that she would never reach her goals due to that lack of consistency. And so she felt she was out of options and needed to make a change because her stress levels have just had become so extreme that it just was something that it was just time to make a change in her life that she felt. And so today we're going to have a very candid conversation where she shares her struggles with the years of emotional eating and sugar addiction and failed attempts at weight loss, which we all have been there. So that's why this is so powerful and so timely because all of this stuff is something that everybody experiences, and I hear this a lot from my clients when I first have my conversations with them. And so the good news is we're going to hear how she gained control. We're going to hear how she has more energy and she feels much better in her own skin. So get ready to get motivated and inspired and make a change in your life. And so, as we are going through this segment, please feel free to comment, to post questions, to share maybe something that very relatable to you, or share your own personal comments that how it relates to you. So this is a very we love engagement. So we want this to be a learning environment for every single body. And so Ellie and I started working together around December of
Yep.
2022. And at that time, she wasn't confident that she would lose weight. I mean, after you do things over and over and over again, you kind of get to that point where you lose motivation. And she wanted to believe in my program. She wanted to believe in the process, but she had felt like she had tried so many things that she no longer felt comfortable having that hope that things would get better. Okay. So I know that that's very relatable for people. And she was very successful at maintaining the lost weight when she had the accountability partner. And she has a history of losing weight when on restrictive diets or when using diet pills. So again, all very relatable. However, when the accountability partner went away, or maybe the dieting stopped, or we stopped taking the medicine, or not medicine, but the diet pills, then the old habits kick in, right? And the weight gain and the weight comes back. So again, very, very relatable. It happens to all of us. And so she went into this journey with me, pretty sure that she didn't have much to learn, but quickly realized that there's a lot there to learn and there's many other ways to connect the dots. And I'm so thankful that we were able to do that for her. And so on that note, we will hear from Ellie herself. And so let's start by sharing your line of work and what you do for a living.
Sure, happy to. So I am the director of technology for a nonprofit, and I spend a lot of sedentary time looking at computers, responding to emails, and helping people. I manage their technology, and so that is what I do. And unfortunately, that means that I don't always get up and walk around as much as I wanted to, and that I just spend a lot of time like sitting and looking at the computer screens, which I imagine most people do these days.
Yes, especially with COVID, right? or well, we're still in COVID, but kind of still in COVID, right? And so, great. So, what are your top health concerns? So, you had mentioned that they were weight loss, the sugar addiction, and the emotional eating. And so, share the
Sure.
concerns that you had with those.
So it was a vicious cycle in that I was constantly nervous about my weight. But I also, when I'd get stressed, I would want to eat something, or if I had something good happen, I'd want to reward myself with food. And then, but between the stress and the reward, then I'd gain weight, but then I'd be more stressed about it. So then I'd want to eat to like compensate for the fact that I was gaining weight, which is the opposite of what is useful when you're trying to lose weight. And then it would also be a bit of a cycle where I'd feel like very defeatist, like, oh, I didn't have a good morning. I ate terribly. So I may as well just start again tomorrow and I'll throw away the rest of the day. And so part of what I've learned through this program is just about like, it's okay to not have a great morning and then be more consistent later on in the day. You don't have to just throw away the rest of the day or the week. But that, I guess, has been my biggest cycle, is the being overwhelmed and then wanting to eat to make myself feel better. But then you're going to gain weight from that, which is only going to make you more overwhelmed.
Right. And I know I should get a lot of amens on that one. That is very classic, and it's that all or nothing. We all, especially as women, we have that all or nothing kind of, I'm all in, and if I make one mistake, then I've blown it. So I might as well just finish out the day and
Throw it
just let
away.
it all go. And then on
Yeah,
Monday, we'll
buy a whole
start. So
cake.
that very common. So do not feel like you're alone in that situation. And how would you say these health issues were impacting your day-to-day life? So as far as the weight and maybe the cravings, that vicious cycle.
So a lot of different ways. So at the time that I started working this program, I was at one of my higher weights, and I felt sluggish. I felt more tired. I wasn't happy about the way that I looked or the way my clothes fit. And then that also made me feel kind of depressed about the fact that I was not where I wanted to be. And unfortunately, that kind of cycle made me, well, if I'm already upset about it, then I don't want to go work out. Then I don't want to engage in healthy eating habits. And I just want to be sad, because I am sad about where everything is. And so part of what I came into the program for is that I was like, I need assistance to stop continuing to be in this cyclone of, negative behaviors. And I know where I want to go with my life. I know what I want the next few years to look like. But at the time, it was all very foggy, and I didn't feel like I could see the path forward. And I was like, it needs somebody with a flashlight.
Yes, that's good. And I applaud you for doing that, because when you're in that, you're in it. So you can't see the forest for the trees. You're just in it. And a lot of times you still have that hope, okay, I can still do this. I can do this. You don't, or we're so private, as people, a lot of us are so private. We don't want to reach for help. We don't want to ask for help.
Absolutely.
And so I'm glad you did that, because that's the hardest step, is to just say, okay, I need help. I experienced the same thing. I had to get help too. It took me 3 years to try to lose 20 pounds, and got help, and it was 3 months. And so, it's just, that's such the first. We feel like, oh, it's eating. It should be easy. I wish it was that
Yeah,
easy, but it's not about the food. As you know, it's about the mindset and other factors that feed into our food choices. So it's not always really literally about the food. Um,
absolutely.
and so that's why I applaud you for that. And you came in, you were like all in, like, I want to make this work. And it's never easy. It's not undoable. It's not unbearable, but to unlearn things and to shift things and to change things, it does take intentionality. And so I'm just glad that you just had that drive and determination to say, hey, no, I really want to make this work, because that's usually what happens, right? When you want to lose weight and you're trying to get help and you're trying to make a change, that's when all the walls start coming down, right? Everything starts coming at you that makes it more difficult to do. So
I
so
think you touched on something else that I wanted to bring up. Because one of the other fears that I had about coming into getting help or working with someone was I consider myself a foodie. I love food. I love restaurants. I love going out for food. I love trying new things. And so I'm sure we're going to talk a little bit about my past and the millions of books I've read and all the things that I've tried before. But one of the things I was really scared about was working with someone who was going to limit my access to try new things. And that I would, one thing that I consider such a core part of my personality, which is like loving to try new restaurants and food, I didn't want to feel like that was going to be taken away from me. And now, having worked the program, I feel like I can work in, like, a really big and decadent meal that may be something you do every once in a while, or even a healthier choice at a restaurant, and still feel experimental and still feel like, yes, I'm totally a foodie and I love to try new things. And so I think that was another fear that I had kind of before starting this journey.
Good. I'm glad you brought that up, because when you've dieted, all that stuff was taken away from you, wasn't it? You couldn't do X, you couldn't do Y. You had this whole list of things that you couldn't eat and couldn't do. And I come along and I'm like, no, I'm here. We're taking all that stuff off the table. You can do, what you want to do and eat what you want to eat. But now I want to give you the tools to understand, well, what does that look like? And how does that look like, so you can make the best choices? But I always say, yes, you can. Most people say, I got to eat all this to lose weight, or I got to eat all this, because I call it what the dieting mindset. You probably heard me say the dieting mindset, or the dieting cycle.
Yep.
And for some people, it's hard to break. And so I'm glad that you saw that you don't have to. No, you can't eat out every day. That's with any of us. But you do have that luxury where you can do it and you can still reach your goals. So good. And at what age? Let me ask you this: what age did you begin your weight loss journey?
So from the time I hit puberty, I can say that I have been trying to lose weight ever since. So I think I remember being aware that I felt overweight, or I was overweight, in my early teens, 13 or 14. And so, not to give away my age, but that's like decades ago now. And to be thinking that I've spent so long being intermittently miserable with the way that I looked, or my confidence in what I was feeding my body, is kind of sad. So I'm thankful that I'm feeling much stronger in that regard now. And I wish that I had felt stronger earlier.
Good. And I would say, again, I applaud you for reeling it in a lot earlier than what you did, because I'm gonna tell you, a lot of people, they'll wait until 50s or 60s, or they get the scare. They get the scare from the doctor, like, oh, now you got diabetes, or now you got high cholesterol, or now you got something that could have been prevented, had they not tried for so long, to do it on their own. And because we don't know what underlining things are occurring when we try to do that. So I applaud you for doing it sooner than later, because when we're I'm not going to give away your age, but when you're a certain age, we feel like we're invincible. you know like there's nothing going to go wrong, where we got it all together, and but it's not always
Or
the
you
case.
just feel like you can't change.
Yeah,
Like, you've
yeah.
tried things so many times that there are no new paths to walk.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep, absolutely. So again, I'm glad, because all those things are the things that hold us back. Because they're like, well, I think I can do this. Let me try this one more thing, or let me give it a little bit more time. And so that's good that you reeled it in when you did. And so let's talk about some of the things that you did try. So what are some of the things that you tried? You can throw in those diet
Sure.
books also.
Yeah, I just honestly, I'll give everyone a moment. I'll just pause for one second. Think about any diet program you've ever heard of through commercials, any diet book that has been a fad in the last 20 years, any exercise program. I won't call them out by name, but like, whichever one you can come up with, I have probably tried it. Whether it was the elimination diets that say to eat only meat and cheeses, or the ones that are like only eat things from the Mediterranean, or everything under the sun. I've done prepackaged meals that arrived and tasted somewhat like dog food. I have done, if it's been marketed to help you lose weight, I have probably tried it, which is a testament to how desperate I was to solve some of these issues. And I kept feeling like there must be a solution out there. And maybe I'm one book away, I'm one line away, I'm one perfect exercise away from learning that this is how I do it and maintain it.
That's good stuff. And see, that's the thing I don't have. I don't have that good marketing, because they make it sound so good. And so, as speaking for all dietitians, it makes it really hard for us, because people don't even think about dietitians. I mean, it took a while for me to even go to a dietitian, because I don't know, maybe we're just not visible enough. But you see the marketing, you want fast results, you want quick results, and of course that's going to draw you. And then when you and then me coming along, because like I've lost the weight, I cut this out and I cut that out and I lost the weight, and so that's success versus, but it came back,
Right.
and they forget about it came back. So I'm like, is that really success? Because now you're frustrated because you put it back on. And I know that's what you went through, and I had shared with you once upon a time. That's when people, it's like I'm the last resort. Like I've tried every diet, I've drank every smoothie, I've ate every type of salad, I've I've done everything that, so I have nowhere else to go. So let's see what you can do. It's kind
Right. And you hit the nail on the head. When you do lose weight, it is an invirtuous cycle, because you feel like, hey, this one program did work because I lost 8 pounds or 12 pounds or 15 pounds, however much you're trying to lose. And so you think next time when you've gained the weight, oh, well, I can just go back to that system. I'll also point out that the amount you lose the first time seems to be a non-recurring
it's like a one-time deal.
Exactly, because once you've learned the game, your body's like, oh, okay, well, we don't actually care about this, because it's not about finding real long-term solutions. It's about manipulating yourself into a weight loss like area for a short period of time that's unsustainable.
Yes, and it's almost a blessing in disguise, because if you would have probably came to me too soon, you probably would have been wondering, was I that one book away? Was I that one diet away? And then we wouldn't have been able to be as successful, because you would have been wondering, well, if it would have worked. So it's almost like, you got to really be ready,
And by the time I came to you, I knew there was no one book. I'd read all the books in the libraries. I've watched all the TED Talks. Everything there was nothing left. No,
I love it. I'm like, I
unturned.
will say, this is the first time I've heard that one, and I love it, because it put the nail on it. Because I hear different versions of it. Well, I know this, I know how to eat, I know what to do, I just don't have the time to do it. So you really hit it. And how are your energy levels? How are your energy levels during that period?
Okay, so beforehand, I mentioned it was not great. I wasn't happy, and so I didn't want to do things that would make me happy, and so I wanted to eat to make myself feel better, and that didn't make me less happy, and I wasn't doing things that were working toward the person I wanted to be. And when I started to work this program, and when I started to feel better and feel more in control of my choices, then it was astounding to feel like not only did I have control over food, but I had control of other choices in my life, and I could make good decisions for myself in other realms. You're aware of this, but one of the things that I did near the end of us working together is I was feeling so much better that I went and joined a local adult soccer league. And I've never played soccer before in my life, so this is not something that I knew really how to do, but it was fun and it was experimental and I really enjoyed it. But I felt like I had the confidence to go and try something new, because I did have the energy and like I could make those good decisions for myself.
That's awesome.
So that was given to me.
That is awesome. 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 I'm so happy to hear that. And so now your energy levels, do you find yourself, I think you was a napper, weren't you? Were you a napper?
Like a nap every once in a while. I'm a really strong sleeper. I like to sleep a lot,
Yeah, that's right.
but I I have more energy throughout the day. It's
Yeah,
less,
that's good.
it's more consistent.
Yeah, that's good. I'm glad you were able to incorporate the exercise and especially something that you enjoy doing, because I know that was one thing. It was it, the being sluggish, the way the kind of going back and forth and all that was kind of hindering you. The mental energy was just hindering you from doing the
Yep.
things that you want to do. So I'm so glad that changed. And I know many people can relate to this. So again, post comments, post feedback, chime in, because this is real talk. So this is real talk, and this is really what goes on behind the scenes. Because when we talk about lifestyle change, people don't really know what that means. It's not just a kind of on off switch. And we never know what life is going to throw at us, and so we have to deal with that in real time. And that's really how we know where we stand. Like, okay, are we really taking care of ourselves? Are we really, trying to do the things that we need to do, to make it happen for us, so that we have that consistency that we all want to have, but we don't know how to get it. And so some of the challenges that you had listed, Ellie, as for losing weight and keeping it off included staying accountable, which these are great. Staying accountable, had become unmotivated, the lack of energy, competing priorities, failed many times. That's a classic one for many of us. Food cravings and things like that. So, any insight that you can share on some of those challenges that maybe can help somebody out there?
Yes. So all the challenges you named are 1,000,000% challenges. But I think that the way that I would frame the advice that I have is not about the challenges themselves.
Mhm.
It is about, so the thing that helps me move forward in my career, in my nutritional journey, in my, like, who I want to be to my friends and as a partner, is that I have this thought of like, who Ellie will be 5 years from now. Who is that Ellie that I want to see myself as 3 to 5 years from now?
Mm-hmm.
And when I'm not in the muck of feeling hopeless and um, the out of control of my life, I can focus on her as kind of my true north, because
Mm-hmm.
it's like, okay, that's where I'm going. And I can make better choices for myself today to help me become her. And so now that I'm feeling better, I can think about that. But when I was in those kind of chaos and challenge moments, one of the things I would encourage people to do is try to think about, who is it I want to be as a partner, as a friend, for my own health. What am I looking for in 3 years? And then ask yourself if the decisions you're making are helping you get there. Are you walking that path toward becoming that person that you want to be? It's like your
Mm-hmm.
choice. You could be that whichever person you want. And so the challenges of the food cravings and the, sugar, and just, oh my gosh, I haven't had enough sugar today, or I still want more bread, or am I hungry or am I bored? Am I actually hungry or am I stressed? Trying to keep that sense of true north really does
Mm-hmm.
help me ask myself those questions in a way that is both kind to myself and also supportive, to say, okay, you're just bored or you're just stressed. What other choices can you make to be stressed? Can you call a friend? Can you go for a walk? Can you, have a swap opportunity? Can you have a snack that's not cake? you know, um, what choices can you make that are helpful for yourself down the road?
That's awesome. And the fact that you give that thought, and that's awesome, because that's real. That's really what we have to get to. We have to get to the long term. Like, what is my long term? I always say the big why. Like, what is your big why? Like, what's your
Yep,
purpose? In the beginning, it's always weight loss. We want to look good.
of
Yes,
course.
we want to feel good. Yes, we want to get back in our clothes. We want to do all that stuff, but we're not gonna get there in 30 days. So we gotta. What are we gonna do to stay in there for the long haul? And so you have your eye on, okay, what's the Ellie I want to see 3 years from now? And what's the Ellie I want to see 5 years from now? And that's what you keep your eye on. And that's what makes the journey more fun and more of a lifestyle. And you're not feeling like, oh my God, you gotta be so structured or be so stressed or be so perfect. So
Exactly.
that's so and you conquered that. So the fact that you went in with that, that's half the battle. So you're a very good example of when you want your when you want to have the positive mindset and you want to have the thought process of, okay, I want to make this happen, then everything else falls in line as accordingly, and that's
I
and that go ahead.
Oh, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Mhm,
I just wanted to chime on. You said something that I really agree with. You said it helps with perfection.
mhm.
Um, because in the way that when you first learned to drive, they told you like don't look at the road straight in front of you, look at the farther down the road
Yeah, yeah.
because you'll drive in a straighter line. That's how I feel. It makes the deviations or the days where I went to a birthday party or I went out for drinks or those days are days that I don't have to hold against myself because I'm not judging just this week, just today, just this month. I'm saying you're driving that direction. And so small deviations or
Mhm.
things like that are fine. It's
Yes,
not about perfection. It's about,
yes. It's about
continuing to drive that direction.
exactly. It's about moving forward and staying in the game because it's the 80-20 rule. I'm like, it's not perfection. I definitely don't follow the straight and narrow, every single day. I guess we call it off plan. A lot of my clients used to say, they get off plan. I'm like, yeah, I get off plan too. And it's okay. I always want you to feel like enjoy your birthday, enjoy the holidays, enjoy when you go vacationing, enjoy those moments because food is for fun as well as for nourishment. And then hey, how now you have the tools to get what get back on track really means. It's
Mhm.
not going back to starving yourself. It's not, you don't eat for 2 days. It's not about juicing and all that kind of stuff. And so now you know that there's a balance and it's okay. And sometimes I always say you always have a choice each day. You can lose weight, you can maintain weight, and you can gain weight. All those are great because you're making that choice. And then and it's
Yeah.
appropriate for that time. Like holidays, yeah, we're gonna gain a little bit. That's just what it is, and it's okay. And so I'm
Yeah.
glad that you're to that point where you feel comfortable with, because a lot of times when people are wanting to lose weight, they fear, oh my gosh, I, I don't want to eat out. Or, oh my gosh, I got a birthday coming up. Oh my gosh, I'm out and everybody's eating cake and I want it, but I can't, you're battling. And that's not what we want, this to be.
I think that was another thing that you really helped bring home for me is I had a lot of fear around certain things. So one of the ones that came up while we were working together was that I travel for work sometimes. And a lot
Mhm.
of times when I travel for work, I'm eating at hotels, I'm meeting with clients, I'm going out to dinner, I'm having drinks, they're very food oriented
Yes.
travel experiences. And I was so panicked that those would derail me. And one of the things that you said was the goal is not to lose weight on these. The goal is to maintain. And taking that burden off of me that I had to lose weight while I was already under a high stress, high social, away from all your comforts and the snack foods that you prepare for yourself, um, optimal conditions was really, really helpful because then I felt relieved to say, oh, okay, if I just have to break even, then I can make choices to that end without feeling like I've, derailed myself.
Totally
And
derailed.
so I think, yeah, exactly. I think that was also very helpful.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's a comfort that that many people get, because I tell people when you break even, whatever your calories are that was based off for your particular plan, your personalized plan, you're eating more than that. So it's not like you're like confined, and so you're relaxing a little bit. And it's also
Yep.
giving your body a chance, it's giving you a chance to learn your body. Like, what are my limits? Like, how far can I take this thing before, before it turns into weight maintenance, before it turns into weight gain. And I remember you went on that conference and I believe you broke even. Oh
I
yeah,
did.
you did not come back with gain. And so that's like
And
victory.
I was thrilled. it felt like a victory. And I think that's the first time in my life where weight maintenance ever felt like a victory, where it's always been the only win is loss.
Yes.
And that was a gift of the All About Choices program, is that maintenance and maintaining is a victory in of itself and something to be celebrated. It's not only about weight loss.
Yes, yes, because if you feel good, you had a great time, all of that.
Did.
You don't want to lose, oh, I lost a pound on my week conference, but I was miserable. What good is that?
Exactly.
I was starving. Yeah. So let's talk about some of your statistics. So yeah, I lost 10 pounds and 6.4% of your initial body weight during the journey. And what I want to express to people, because a lot of people are like 10 pounds, that's it, that's all. Well, I'm gonna tell you, it's more than just that. I'm gonna tell you why this was so huge. This is not a diet; it's a lifestyle, and it's not about losing 10 pounds a month. It's about having a mindset to keep it off. And what's even bigger and more impressive is the 6.4% of her initial body weight, because that is considered significant weight loss for her. Because when you sustain that, it is you have a reduction in your triglycerides, your blood glucose, your A1C, which is a marker for prediabetes, and you lower your risk for developing type 2 diabetes. And because she's even above the 5% range, now she's able to reduce her blood pressure, and her blood pressure was great before, so it's probably even better now. The lousy cholesterol lowers, the happy cholesterol increases, and then you reduce the need for medications to control your blood pressure and sugar levels and cholesterol. So yes, the scale is great and it's going to do what it needs to do, but when you think about your labs and your health markers and your sleep and your immune system functionality and all of that, your other body systems and organs, when all of that is intact because of her changing her lifestyle and her eating habits, all of that is what allows us to enjoy this life, age gracefully, and have the energy to do the things that you enjoy doing. And so that is what I really want you to know and applaud you for, because I don't think you knew that. I don't think you was
I,
aware of that. So that is
I
huge.
don't think I was. I I, I'm really proud of those results. I know some people will probably have more weight that they want to lose,
Mhm. Yeah.
and some people may have less weight that they want to lose. But for me, I there were really two gifts of the program. One was that I was at a weight that was untenable for me,
Mhm.
and having gone through this program and losing 6%, losing 10 pounds, put me in the weight range where I was happy with the way that I looked. I was happy
Exactly.
looking in the mirror. And it's exactly what I wanted. The other thing, and we've discussed this before, is I felt like when I came into working with you, I felt like I was on a runaway train in terms of my stress level. There were all
Mhm.
kinds of things happening in my personal life and all kinds of things going on. And I felt like my ability to control food consumption and I make healthy choices was just, it was beyond my bandwidth at the
Mhm.
time. And so, in addition to feeling like I was on a runaway train, working with you really helped me slow that train to a halt and then actually start to reverse it going the other direction. And so that was a
And
huge change to my mental load. That amount of solace that I got from feeling like I'm now more in control of my choices and I'm going the right direction. I
absolutely.
was huge in and of itself. And so while the numbers are great, hey, I'm super happy I lost 10 pounds.
Yeah. Yeah. They are
It's
great.
even more than that. The
Yeah.
gift is way beyond even the
Yeah.
numbers.
And I'm so glad you pointed that out, because when we're in that dieting mindset and in that dieting cycle, that's what diets promote: 5 pounds a week, or 30 pounds in 30
Yep.
days. And so people have that stuck in their mind, but that's not healthy. That's creating other problems that you don't even realize down the line. And so the fact that, and people don't realize, when you're dealing with lifestyle, there are so many things that feed into your food choices: stress, work, whatever it is, there's so many other things that feed into, and people don't realize when that's not addressed, you're going to stay in this vicious cycle of losing, gaining, losing, gaining, losing. So you have to break those cycles, and that's what's so
Yep.
impressive, because these are 10 pounds that are not coming back unless you just go on a
Nope.
unless you just sit on the couch and just, I don't care, and you know too much now to do that. So I know you're not gonna let that happen.
Right.
you know, you know how to maintain that. And so, I shared my secret with you, and I share with everybody else. I have a 5 pound, little window there. Sometimes it goes to 7 and 8, but I try to reel it in, before it gets too far, because then it's hard to bring it back, and then you're gonna feel
Hmm.
defeated and all that stuff. So your results have been impressive, because I know the full journey, and people that are listening are getting a sneak peek of it, but it is very, very relatable. And the big takeaway is, you got to give yourself grace. You got to give yourself time. You got to work through those external things that are going on, that are feeding and controlling what you eat
Absolutely.
or what you don't eat. And that is what makes you successful long term. So if you lose a half a pound a week, that is success if it doesn't come back, and you have the mindset of understanding, why it was only a half a pound, because that is
Hmm.
huge at the end of the day. And so that 10 pounds, I think I always show a model of what fat looks like. So just everybody just grab a 10-pound dumbbell and pick it up, and that's how much you lose. And that is huge from a health perspective.
Right.
And so thank you for that, and I'm so happy for you. And some other statistics that she shared: she has more energy. She's not starving. She's not thinking about food all the time. She has a better understanding of pairing foods throughout the day, and she has a new knowledge of macros. And just having that foundation is what helps you to maintain this thing long term. And so that's huge. And so I would like what were the top three things, as we wrap things up? What are the top three things that you would say you found most helpful to your success?
I think food pairing was the most unexpected thing that I didn't know anything about. And I came into working with you and I learned a lot about, because now I think about what it takes to make a meal and what is a good snack, as opposed to, I think before I would have a piece of something, but I'd still be hungry. And I would, rather than pairing things together and having an actual, like, here's a snack that is going to be satisfying and work for X amount of hours, I wound up overeating a lot by just snacking, because I never felt full and I never felt like I was getting what I needed. And so pairing food and thinking, being really thoughtful about what I'm having in each, it was really useful. I think the second thing that I would say is, again, going from a dieting mindset to a health mindset, is about juice, because every diet that I've ever been on basically is like, don't eat juice or drink juice, only eat the fruit.
Mm-hmm.
And nobody's going to argue that like eating an apple is better than drinking apple juice. I just, duh. But you saying, hey, you can totally have apple juice, just make sure you measure it. Just make sure you're not using, the big gulp of apple juice, or orange juice or something, and treat that as a fruit. And the way that I think about juices now is so much more constructive,
Mm-hmm.
that I don't feel like I can't have them. I just think of them as where their proper placement is and what their proper volume is.
Good.
Uh, and that was another big gift. Not that I drink a ton of juice,
Right.
but I
But
drink
you
it a lot.
can.
I drink it for fun and I want to. And
Exactly.
so um, those two would be major takeaways. And then the one I mentioned earlier is that maintenance is a win.
Mhm.
And just to be happy with, I broke even this week. That's okay.
Yeah,
Well, then you can
absolutely.
talk to yourself about, well, why did you break even this week? Well, I broke even this week because I was traveling, or because I ate out more than I normally do, or any
Hmm.
number of things. That's okay.
Yeah.
Having those candid conversations with yourself and treating maintenance as a win as well as weight loss.
Uh-huh. And you touched on two things. I'm gonna talk about juice, because a lot of times people will say, "Oh, it has too much sugar. Oh, no, no, no." And it's when you the evidence, you talk about the evidence of it all, having The whole fruit, yes, we know is great. Having 100% fruit juice and even having dried fruit, all of those things, the natural, no sugar added dried fruit, it all fits because all three versions provide actually different nutrients. In some cases, you're going to get more nutrients from the juice than you will the whole fruit. It just kind of depends on that fruit. So it's good to have that mixture, and it's okay. But again, it's just kind of having that knowledge. No, you don't want to have 24 ounces of juice and and then you're still doing other things, so that's
Sure.
what the key is. And so juice is not the enemy. I always tell people that. And then you had touched on it was at the top of my head when you had said it, I had lost it, but you had touched on the was it the maintenance, what was the second one you said?
Pairing.
The
Pairing was the
pairing.
first one.
The pairing, and then you had talked about, it'll come back to me, but it was another a really important point that you had made that I wanted to mention, and it is totally escaping me. So but it is hopefully it'll come back to me. And so words of wisdom. Any words of wisdom that you have for our listeners who are in the same position that you were once in, either feeling stuck or frustrated or not feeling like it will ever happen for them. What advice would you have for them?
I, I think if people haven't spent time thinking about that person they want to be 3 years from now or 5 years from now, it can be a really beautiful opportunity for you to daydream about who they are. And whether that's career oriented, whether that's how you look, how you walk through the world. I just want to walk through the world with more confidence. And when you start to imagine that person, it can really help it take shape in your mind about how you make decisions to get there. But until you are aware of who you want to be, it can be a little more challenging. And so I think that would be one of them. And then the other one that I would say is find your support system. And that support system can be anything you need. Sometimes it's friends, sometimes it's family, sometimes it's support groups, sometimes it's nutritionists, sometimes it's your primary care providers. Whatever combination that you need to be successful in this journey is what you should give yourself, because all of these are a gift to yourself about how you get to that person you want to be. And so whatever support that person needs is what you should provide if you can.
Yeah. And that's awesome. And
Little
that's
gifts
another,
to yourself.
yep. And that's another thing I did appreciate about you is that you were not afraid to seek support. We had a team, it wasn't just me. I was not the only person on the team. She had a team and it was awesome. We all worked together and she would share what other members of her team shared. And I would piggyback off that and use that because it helped me to help her. And so it's a village, right? Sometimes it just takes a village. And I remember the point that I want to make. You made a good point about when we feel like we messed up, or we feel like that we did, or we maintained our weight. And all we do, because Sandra doesn't beat you up, all we do is we flash back. Like you said, did you go out of town? Did you eat out? What could have triggered it? Only thing you do is what could have caused the weight not to move. And once you know that, you should have a peace because at least you can identify. A lot of times what will happen is people will say, oh, well, I know I ate right. I know I ate clean and I exercised and I did all this stuff. Why didn't I lose weight? And the question is, well, did we? Now you have that knowledge of, okay, yeah, now I know exactly what caused the gain and I'm good with that. And so now you can course correct and we move on. You don't beat yourself up about it. It's done, and so it's a learning, it's a teachable moment. And so, and that was a big thing that you brought up there. That's important for people to know. If you want to call it a setback, I call them teachable moments because it helps us to do better the next time. Because guess what? As you know, right, Ellie, it is the next time, right? You're always going to have another opportunity to to try to work through some other a life event. So thank you for sharing all of that. You have been amazing. And again, people, please post your comments, post feedback, post amens, post, because I know everything that she's saying is very, very relatable. And I appreciate her being so candid and sharing because I know that this is what people what people experience on a day-to-day basis. And it's so much better to hear it coming from someone other than myself. So I'm so thankful that she shared. And so again, feel free to post any comments. And I thank you so much, Ellie, for sharing today. And I thank you all for tuning in with today's version of Lunch and Learn. And I am Sandra Goldtree. And remember that keeping a positive mindset, speaking only positive self talk goes a long way in cultivating and maintaining a healthy lifestyle and self care that lasts for life. And so, bye for now. Have a great rest of your day. Blessings and healthy regards.